It is very kind of you to invite us, Lord Charles. We are deeply honoured by your condescension. This is Miss Elizabeth Bennet. And this is Lord Charles' daughter Anne.
Go, enjoy our gardens, Mr. Collins. Goodness knows your wife looks as though she could use the exercise. So, Miss Bennet, you reside at Ameriton, the future estate of Mr. Collins. Did you have the privilege of meeting my nephew while he was there?
Your nephew?
Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, master of the Pembrey estate. I understand he stayed with his good friend Mr. Bingley at Netherfield some months ago.
Yes, but I did not realise he was your nephew, though now I can see the resemblance in your character.
You do us both honour, Miss Bennet. He is a fine young man, is he not?
He certainly made a deep impression on all at Meryton.
I'm sure he did. There are few equal to his measure. Many young ladies, I know, are eager to catch his eye, but he disdains them all, for with one exception, he has yet to meet a woman who is good enough for him.
One exception? And who might that be?
Why, my daughter Anne, of course. In matters of education, taste, and breeding, they are as one.
I'm sure they are.
My daughter is very accomplished, but unfortunately, ill health prevents her from displaying her talents too robustly.
I'm very sorry to hear it.
If her voice was strong enough, she would be a delightful soprano. Do you sing, Miss Bennet?
A little.
And your sisters, I believe you are one of 5. Do your sisters play and sing?
One of them does.
Only one of them? All should have learned. If I had learned, I should have been a great prodigy. And so should Anne, if her health had allowed it. I am confident she would perform delightfully. Do you draw, Miss Bennet?
No, not at all.
But surely your governess gave you instruction in drawing.
Oh, we had no governess.
No governess? How is that possible, with 5 daughters in the house? Your education must have been sadly neglected.
Not really.
Nonsense. It's fundamental. To be without a governess must cause distress. It's detrimental for any girl to go without one, I profess. Unless she's planning on a menial vacation, a girl is disciplined to educate her mind. If she's deprived of such an ordered education, she will find that she can never be considered as refined. I'm maintaining every girl requires much discipline and training. Those without it are predestined to a life of sin. Who can doubt it? A girl must be of an inquiring disposition. She must be well informed and know just what to say. But she can never quite aspire to this condition without a governess on hand to show the way. It's essential if you wish to make the most of your innate potential. If you wish to be part of decent society, take advice from me.
Oh, Miss Bennet, what a pleasure to see you again.
Mr. Wickham, and how's Miss King?
Miss King? Why, I would not know. I haven't seen her for quite some time.
But I thought you were to be married.
We were briefly engaged, but alas, it was not to be.
Oh, how unfortunate.
Unfortunate? For whom? For her? I think not. I believe we both had a very lucky escape.
Is there anyone special in your life?
No, not at the moment. I'm a free man. And what about yourself, Miss Bennet?
There's no one at the moment.
Very good indeed. May I ask what you have planned for this evening?
Nothing particularly.
That's very good. I cannot help but believe fate has brought us here together today.
Do you think so?
I do indeed.
Mr. Darcy, Mr. Collins and his wife are not here at the moment.
I know. It is you I have come to see.
Me? What business could you possibly have with me?
I have been waiting for the opportunity for some time now to speak to you alone. Miss Bennet, since that time I heard you play and sing at the piano, when you upbraided me for my discourtesy to the ball, I have found my thoughts returning to you constantly. Your eyes, they affected me in a way I have never been affected before. And when you stayed at Netherfield, and I observed you tending to your sister's illness with such devotion and consideration, I found myself warming to you even more.
Mr. Darcy, you astonished me in these declarations. I had no idea.
I've tried very hard to stop myself from falling in love with you. I did not want to, I did not mean to. It's so impossible, and yet it's true. I do love you, don't ask me why. All reason tells me to forget you. I just can't see how we could be. I wish that I had never met you. But every time I see you, it seems to me I can't believe that you and I were ever meant to be. And yet I can't deny it's true that I want you to marry me.
Should I be flattered? Should I be honoured by this cold proposal? For all it mattered, you might have saved yourself the breath. I could not marry you. That would be worse than death.
Your words surprise me. Are they the only words at your disposal? Do you despise me that you should give me this reply? I do not understand, so kindly tell me why.
You insult me, you disparage my family, you do your best to shame me, so I'm sorry, but if my answer is less than kind, who can blame me?
Miss Bennet, how is it that I have caused you to turn on me so profoundly?
You're so unfeeling, you look on all with disapproval and disdain. In all revealing a scant regard for others' pain. How could I give my heart to one so proud and vain?
I do not understand why you think so ill of me.
I have every reason to think ill of you. Your treatment of Mr. Wickham was enough to turn me against you. Then you ruin the happiness of a most beloved sister by helping to turn Mr. Bingley against her.
I will not deny that I did everything in my power to separate my friend from your sister. I think it was right that I should, and in that regard, I have been kinder to him than to myself. Not only was your sister's background unsuited to him, it was also apparent from my observations of her that the feelings she had for my friend were at best superficial. So I do not think I have anyone's chances of happiness but my own. Quite the contrary, I think I saved them both a lot of unhappiness.
You could not be more wrong, Mr. Darcy. The fact that you cannot even see the delicacy of my sister's feelings just shows what an insensitive, unperceptive man you are, and it was obvious his regard for her was equally as strong.
Whatever you may think, I acted in the best of motives. If I was mistaken in the premise of my actions, then I deeply regret it. But it was not for lack of principle.
Principle? And what do you call your treatment of Mr. Wickham? Was that an example of your principles?
I do not wish to discuss Mr. Wickham.
No, I'm sure you don't, for how in the name of friendship can you defend yourself there?
I shall tell you something now that I have told few people. The position that Mr. Collins now holds within the church is the position that my father had intended for Mr. Wickham.
Mr. Wickham, in the church.
After my father's death, 5 years ago, Mr. Wickham said he did not wish to take orders in the church, and that he would prefer to study law. I settled £3,000 in him for this purpose, and he resigned all claims to assistance in the church.
Go on.
For 3 years I did not hear from him. He said he had lost his money in a business venture. I later discovered he had gambled it all away, and he now wished to be ordained in the church as my father had intended. I settled a further £1,000 in him, that he would not bother me or my family again. A year later, he came to me again to plead for money, having quickly frittered the £1,000 I had given him, and when I refused, Mr. Wickham went straight to my sister, a sweet, innocent and trusting girl, who was then only 15 years old, and he succeeded in persuading my sister Georgiana that she was in love with him.
But how do you know his feelings for Georgiana were not genuine?
Because Mr. Wickham has never displayed interest in any woman where there is not a fortune to be had. but I can see I am wasting my breath on you, Miss Bennet. If you will insist on doubting me, then perhaps nothing can persuade you. Good day, Miss Bennet. I am indeed sorry for my offensive proposal, and I assure you, I shall not be bothering you again.
Have I been wrong? Have I been swayed by prejudice? These things he says are not so easy to dismiss. In the name of he who made me, has my pride in truth betrayed me? I who once had eyes for truth, gave myself to lies while being so uncouth. How I scorned him and abused him in the way that I refused him. Now I look around and find there's nothing there to guide me. I've lost my ground while doubt has found its lair inside me. Is it true that I've been wrong? Who then can I believe? Where does my trust belong? No one else has made me feel this way. It seems I have misjudged Mr. Darcy.
I am very gratified to hear that, Miss Bennet.
I am sorry to intrude, lady, but there is very urgent communication for you. Your lodging house said you would be found here this evening.
Bad news, I'm afraid. It seems Lydia has disappeared with George Wickham. The commander of his regiment found a note to say that they had eloped to Scotland, but has managed to trace them no further than London. He does not think that Wickham really intends to marry Lydia, but he's brought her along for his amusement. My father has gone to see if he can find them. I must return at once.
Is there anything I can do to help? I feel partly to blame.
That's very kind of you, Mr. Darcy, but I cannot see how you could be of assistance in this instance, and I cannot see how you can blame yourself for Lydia's impetuous behaviour.